Hey folks, this is Kalani. We all know that corrupted gear is where most of your power is going to come from in this last patch of Battle for Azeroth. It doesn't matter if you get full 475 gear with some 485s from the last two bosses. It doesn't matter if you're fully kitted out in the best gear with the best stats. If it doesn't have the best corruption, or really any corruption at all, people are still going to out DPS you. Corrupted effects are worth way more than what many of us initially thought they would be when this system was first previewed on the PTR. We've come a long way for sure. So, how do we go about getting the best corrupted effects on our gear? Unfortunately, pretty much the entire system outside of the raid weapons is based on RNG. Nothing but pure dumb luck. So the only way we can increase the chances of us getting some of that sweet echoing void, infinite stars, or twilight devastation is to increase the number of corrupted pieces that we can get our hands on. Now that is something we have some control over. Let's have a look at how you can get more corrupted pieces of gear to give you the best chance of getting something good. There are some guaranteed sources of corrupted gear, some sources which have a higher chance to be corrupted, or at least they seem to, and then the good old lottery of getting any piece of gear and hoping it becomes corrupted. The first guaranteed source for corrupted gear is your weekly Mythic Plus cache. I know everyone talks about this one source as being the most important thing to get done each week, but now it really is. The weekly Mythic Plus cache will always contain an awesome piece of gear if you're pushing your key even a little bit. It doesn't matter if +3 is high for you or a +15 is easy for you. The item level you get from the cache is always higher than the difficulty of the dungeon you run, so it's a fantastic gearing up tool no matter who you are. In patch 8.3, your weekly cache loot is also guaranteed to be corrupted. 100% of the time, no questions asked, no gimmicks, you will get a corrupted piece of gear. The only time you wouldn't see corrupted gear is if you get a trinket, because trinkets can't be corrupted. So if you get a weapon, corrupted. Some awesome super ring with your best stats in a socket. If it's from the weekly cache, it's corrupted as well. It's also super easy to get a piece of loot in your weekly box. Just do one Mythic Plus keystone in the week. That's all you need. If you want to get the best gear, you will need to do a +15 key, but if all you do is that one single +15 key, you will still get the best loot. So no matter what level of key you run, just run something. The lowest item level piece of gear you can get is 440 from a +2. A 440 item that has infinite stars, echoing void, twilight devastation, or one of the amazing corrupted effects for your specific class and spec will be worth more than 450 or even 460 pieces of gear most of the time. So much damage and throughput is linked to just the corrupted effect, it's actually insane. So any piece of corrupted gear can be way better than a higher item level piece of non-corrupted gear. Obviously, the higher key you do and the higher item level you get, the better, because it's all going to be corrupted no matter what from the cache. But if you're worried that it won't be worth just doing a +2, +3 or +4 or whatever, it will be if you haven't done another key in the week. Trust me, get one key done if you want some corrupted gear. There is another guaranteed piece of corrupted gear, and it's from another weekly box, but this one might be a bit scarier. The PvP weekly Conquest chest also gives you a piece of guaranteed corrupted gear. I know Conquest Capping might not be something you've done, or you might think it takes way too long, or you actually have to do some PvP, but it is a lot easier than you think. At least, it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Here's the deal. You need to get 500 Conquest in the week, and you'll get a box at your PvP area on reset day, just like the Mythic Plus cache. That box will contain a piece of corrupted gear, assuming you get a piece that can be corrupted. Again, trinkets cannot corrupt, and the PvP box can also contain Azerite gear, which can't corrupt either. So there's a chance you won't get a decent item, but if you get anything but those slots, it's 100% corrupted 100% of the time. Conquest Capping is a little bit more involved when compared to running a Mythic Plus keystone, but that doesn't mean it's more difficult. You just need 500 Conquest from any source. You don't have to go into ranked arenas, you don't have to go into battlegrounds, a lot of this can be done by yourself. One of the easiest sources of conquest is the PvP supply crates that drop randomly in zones. The older BfA zones have a crate that contains 50 conquest, and the ones that drop into the Nazjatar zone will contain 75 conquest. Just getting one of the Nazjatar PvP crates will take you almost 1/5 of the way to your weekly cap. You can get one of these crates per day from Naz and still get conquest, so if you get it every day for a week, you'd actually be over your cap already. 75 conquest per day for 7 days will net you 525 by the end of the week, and you literally have to do nothing else. The crates drop every 30 minutes or so you shouldn't have to wait too long for one to appear. You can keep an eye out for crates in the older BfA zones too for an extra 50 per day to speed things up, and give you a day off waiting for a Naz crate to drop. You will need war mode to be enabled for this, so be sure you turn it on before you head out to Nazjatar. Another easy source is the faction assaults from patch 8.1, I think it was. These are still going on and will give you a good chunk of conquest for completing the various world quests on offer during an assault when you have war mode enabled. The assaults don't last long, they're only up for 6 hours when they pop up, so you will have to hit them during that short window. Each world quest gives 10 or 15 conquest. This assault in Drusvar right now is worth 60 conquest total if I do all of the world quests, which shouldn't take too long. The cool thing about the assaults is that they're actually on a fixed timer, so we know exactly when the next ones will pop up. Just head on over to Wowhead and check their assault timer, and we can see there's going to be another assault at 6 PM today and then another 1 PM on Saturday. It's just another source of quick conquest that anyone can do. With a Nazjatar crate and an assault, you could get 135 conquest per day very easily, and that would mean you would only need to do 4 days worth of these activities to get your conquest cap. If you want to get this done faster, there's a few other easy sources of conquest to look into. The Call to Arms quests are kind of hit or miss sometimes, but I can usually see some groups in the group finder running around as raid and just destroying any enemies they come across. Depending on the Call to Arms zone, you can get 50, 75 or 100 conquest for finishing it off. You can pick up all of the Call to Arms quests in your PvP area where the PvP chest is, so just hop on over to see what's on offer. The new 8.3 zones reward 100 conquest, and we'll be spending quite a bit of time in those zones anyway to get the assaults and dailies done. Pick up the Call to Arms quests and just kill anyone you come across. You should be able to get the required kills by the end of the week. So you can see, capping conquest without doing any arenas or battlegrounds is actually really quick and easy. You just need to know what to look out for. Of course, you can hop into arenas or battlegrounds, get your daily wins worth of conquest, watch out for the weekly events for PvP, and all the rest of it, but nabbing a chest every day in Naz is probably the easiest and fastest way to conquest cap, but you can do whatever you want, as long as you hit that 500 conquest mark before the week ends. Without any rating at all, the PvP chest will contain a 445 item level piece of gear, so it's not too bad, but if you want to up that item level of the reward, you will have to start doing rated PvP and getting your rating up. At 1400 rating, the item will go up to 455 item level, and at 1600 you'll get a 460 piece of gear, which is the equivalent of a heroic raid piece right now. It keeps going higher. To max out the reward at 475 you'll need to get to 2400, which I will continue to laugh at and ignore. I'm very happy that we managed to get to 1600 rating. This is actually the first time in Battle for Azeroth that I've actively gone out of my way to cap the conquest and do some arenas. It's the first time I've ever had a rating this expansion, and it's all thanks to corrupted gear. A 445 corrupted piece will be amazing for the vast majority of players, so for now focus on getting the conquest cap in any way you can, and then when you're super geared up you can start looking at improving the conquest weekly reward. Those are the only 2 guaranteed sources of corrupted gear, so the rest of this will require a bit more luck. Some sources seem to reward more corrupted gear than others though. The assault caches are one of them. Both the Black Empire assault and the smaller faction assaults in the Vale of Eternal Blossoms and Uldum seem to be throwing out corrupted gear to anyone who completes them. Well, anyone but me I guess. I've still yet to get a corrupted piece from these caches, but from what I've seen online and in my guild they appear to be a great source of old god influence. The items from these caches will scale with your item level up to 445, so it's not like these rewards will carry you all the way into Mythic raiding, but again, if an item gets the right corrupted effect, it could be way better than some raiding gear, even at item level 445. I would do every assault that pops up to make sure you get the most chances for corrupted gear. You never know when you might get lucky. You'll also need the Coalescing Visions to access our next stop on the Corrupted Gear checklist, Horrific Visions. We're starting to full clear visions now, which gives us access to a 445, a 430 and a 420 drop if you run 3 visions a week. As you start clearing visions with masks, the item level rewards will go up, but for now that's an extra 3 chances at Corrupted Gear. Horrific Visions also seem to have a higher chance to reward Corrupted Gear and is the only source where I've actually been lucky enough to get some corruption worth using. It's good that there are plenty of other reasons to run Horrific Visions too, so the Corrupted Gear might just be the icing on the cake. As we unlock more talents in the Titan Archive and gain access to more masks, I think Horrific Visions will become one of the best gearing up methods for a lot of players. We just need to upgrade the cloak a little bit to help with the sanity drain more. Something else to watch out for are the Gear Emissary quests. These can also scale up to 445 item level now, and with everything else added together, you should be able to get a pretty high item level for this patch without stepping foot in the new raid. But I've also heard a lot of players say their emissaries were giving them corrupted gear. I saw a lot of posts on Reddit about it too. It could be that all of these sources have higher chances of corrupting, or it could be that it's just guaranteed gear for the most part. If an emissary says it will give you a 445 piece of gear, you know, you're going to get a 445 piece of gear. You don't have to roll on anything, there's no chance of loot going on. It's the same with Horrific Visions. Providing you clear enough objectives, you're guaranteed to get that 445 piece. So maybe that's why we're seeing more corrupted gear from these sources, but a guaranteed piece of gear is always going to be better than a chance at gear if there's a higher chance to corrupt. That's just even more reason to do your emissaries. The last thing on the list would be the Ny'alotha raid. Some of the bosses can drop weapons that have guaranteed corruption effects, which is almost as good as it gets, really. The only problem is you have to get in the raid to even have a chance at this loot. Normal Ny'alotha doesn't seem like it would be too bad to pug right now, but most of the bosses that drop corrupted gear are kind of towards the back end of the raid where it starts to get a little more dicey. I know for me, the weapon I want drops from Raden. That's definitely going to be a tough nut to crack for any group that doesn't have much experience in the raid. So if you can get to the bosses that drop the weapons, there's a chance you might just get lucky and not have to roll the dice on the corrupted part of the weapon, although you'll still have to actually get the piece of loot in the first place. That might be harder than everything else combined in this video so far. So you can get 2 pieces of guaranteed corrupted gear, one from the weekly Mythic Plus cache and one from the Conquest Cap PvP cache. If you get Azerite gear or trinkets, that's a bit of bad luck, but the rest of it can and will be corrupted. Assault caches, Horrific Visions and Emissary rewards seem to have a better chance to corrupt, so they're definitely worth looking into and working towards. And then if you can get into the raid and clear the appropriate bosses, the corrupted weapons in there are incredibly valuable as well. And that's everything you need to know to get the most pieces of corrupted gear every single week. I'll be getting a 475 corrupted piece every week from the weekly Mythic Plus cache, assuming I do a plus 15 key every week, which I probably will, fingers crossed, and then a 460 piece providing I can keep that 1600 rating. That's a lot of corrupted gear to be guaranteed coming in every week. 2 pieces of very high item level gear, which will hopefully have a very nice corrupted affix attached to it. Obviously, running more raids and dungeons outside of all of this will increase your chances as well, because getting more gear should translate directly into getting more corrupted gear, but that's all going to depend on how lucky you are. Have you gotten many corrupted pieces so far in patch 8.3? Any good ones? Any Echoing Void, Infinite Stars, anything good? Do you think the PvP Conquest Cap in that chest is worth the extra corrupted piece of gear each week? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave. If you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.